I want to share with you a experiment I've had here at home, right in my backyard. I have this zebra plant in this pot and it's sitting there on the concrete, and around the edges of the plants you have the dried leaves, and right at the adjacent to the base of the root you have this young shoot starting to sprout. And like every day I go in the backyard, like the first thing I notice is the dry dead leaves, and which is kind of distracting to the young shoots. So I notice as I keep going there every day, and then I keep looking at the plant and just placing my attention, my focus, my devotion on the dead leaves, it seemed as if the dead leaves were just getting bigger, or my perception seemed as if it's getting bigger, and I'm not noticing the young, new, vibrant, and colorful, pure green shoots that are now blooming and blossoming. So then I said to myself, let me try this experiment. Starting from tomorrow, when I go to the backyard and if my eyes glance on the plant, I would shift my focus on the young, beautiful, green, nature green shoot that is starting to bloom, and not put my attention and my devotion on the dried, dead leaves. So I did that, and I did it day after day, week after week. And it's about maybe almost 6 months now. And if I can send you this photo, I'm going to show you will see how the young bud that was sprouting is almost as big as the original plant was before it died. And it's beautiful green zebra kind of leaf. And while I was looking at the plant, the young shoot as it was growing, I noticed that I didn't even realize that the original plant with the dead leaves, I didn't notice that anymore. All of my focus shifted on the young sprout, the new plant. And now that it's like a fully grown plant, I'm now kind of see the leaves, which are not so prominent, the dead leaves from the older plant is just starting to vanish and drying up little bit by little bit and kind of decaying into the soil in the plant pot. And before that, like I noticed when I was looking at the plant, all I was seeing is the dry dead leaves, and the young sprout, it seems like it's not growing. And I thought that maybe it's a slow grower. But later that I understand is because my presence, my devotion, my attention, and my focus was kind of guiding and shining light on this plant. Whatever I focused on, that's what was being affected. So what this tells us is that when we look at ourselves in a mirror, right? You take a bath in the morning and you put your clothes on, get your hair done, whatever you're going to school or you're going to work, or you're just attending to your family and your children. When you look at yourself in the mirror, the first thing in the day, your attention or your focus, your intention is mostly oftentimes glance onto maybe that pimple on your cheek, or that wrinkle is starting coming out, on your forehead, or I don't know, the gray on your hair, or that kind of dried patch on your skin, or the moles in your face, which you wish they weren't there. And every day after day, week after week, month after month, you go in front of the mirror and you keep repeating that same intention Oh my gosh, this wrinkle on my face. Oh my gosh, this dry patch under my eye. Oh my gosh, this gray hair. Oh, this pimple on my cheek is not going away. Oh my god, I wish I could move this mole right here in my nose. I hate it. Gosh, look at the pores on my skin, my face. So, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, that's all we see. And we chant that same intention every day. Chant, 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 repeat, repeat. So, what's happening in that mirror is that your presence, your focus is on that kind of part of you which you may not feel aligned with, which you may not be in favor of, but which you wish could be something else. What if you shift your focus and look at something else in the mirror that you appreciate, that you love, and that you are grateful that you were born with? Maybe it's the brown in your eyes. Maybe it's the white part of your eyes that is so white and clear. Maybe you like your hair color and texture. Maybe you like your eyelashes. Maybe you like that kind of straightness on your nose. Maybe you like your jawline or your figure and shape. Maybe you like how prominent your collarbone is. Whatever it is, put your attention on that feature of you and appreciate it and praise it and just give it your devotion and love. And you will see if you apply this experiment, start it for a week, do it for a month, and then a few months after, you would notice how your outlook on yourself and life in general and everything around you started to shift. And you may not notice these subtle differences. Why? Oftentimes it's because when we start to perceive things in a different tone and color and texture, and that is oftentimes rooted in heart-centered mode with vibrant intention and devotion, what happens is the reality around us, it kind of bends and it confirms to our self-concept. So what is happening when you start to look at things the way you want it to? And when you look at it that way, it's like you're shining your light on the part of that thing or whoever the person is, the animal or the plant in your house, and you're kind of improving its vitality with your presence. So your presence, when we talk about being present and being here in the now, whether it's a gathering, whether it's a workplace, whether it's you're in front of your altar, whether you're reading, presence and being here and now and attention and focus, the depth of presence and devotion and attention is that your presence, you tend to weave reality with what you're devoting to. And this takes different forms, whether it's relationship with someone, whether it's a pet or your child. If there is something about your child that you do not, you wish that you can manner, or you don't know where this child gets her attitude from. Maybe not from the father, maybe not from you, maybe no one else in the family, but you want to know, where does this child get this attitude from? So every day, your point of view or your outlook on this child is that, oh my God, this child with this attitude. And every day and every person and every family member, every coworker, every neighbor, every person at the grocery store you meet, you tell them, oh my gosh, my child with this attitude. And you chant it and you repeat it. And this extends beyond, your child. This may be your partner. It may be your boss. It may be a parent. It may be a sibling, your neighbor. It could be someone who you don't even know. and we chant that version or that symbol of that person, which we do not appreciate, but we make it the center of our focus and our attention. And what happens when you give something your attention? It grows, it expands, it multiplies, it magnetizes. What if we start to shift our perception on that child or your partner or whoever it is? And then maybe there is one thing that you like about that person. Maybe, let's say the child got good grades in school. That is something to put your attention on. And when we start to kind of highlight, the appreciation and the greatness of that part of her or him, that light, we're actually shedding light on that person in front of you that lives with you all the time, that you see every day. And that person will start to kind of, you may not notice it, but your light through your attention of her good quality, your light through the devotion towards her, the appreciation of her quality, will start to transform her or him in the most subtle ways you may not realize, but this child is starting to confirm the way how you see her, how the way you envision her, you start to see she's just transformed, and you want to know, and you say to her, something's changed about you. I don't know if it's your hair, maybe your clothes, what is it? And then what happens is you start to chant different conversations about her with the people in your life. You no longer repeat those old chants, oh my gosh, this child with this attitude. No, you start to appreciate and highlight these subtle improvements that you starting to see in front of you. I don't know if it's her hair, but she's such a good child. Or he's so good and he's doing so well in school now. So now we start to transform the conversations and the words, the vocabulary that we repeat about the people in our lives, to our parent, to our neighbors, to the lady at the supermarket, to the neighbor next door. What this tells us is that everything around you, relationships, your money, your health and vitality, your whatever it is, lifestyle, your career, there are mirrors. When we say the mirrors of devotion, we're not limited to the mirror in your closet or the mirror in your powder room, where you see a reflection of yourself in this object on the wall, or through a screen, or a reflection in the water or so. People in our lives, they are our mirrors. Nature are our mirrors. Situations and circumstances are our mirrors. Your neighbor with the attitude is a mirror of who you are. Your partner is a mirror. The people we are in relationships with are the greatest mirrors of ourselves. Your children are mirrors of who you are. And the same way, when you look at yourself in that mirror in the morning and you start to change your perception of what you see when you look at the mirror, notice the acne on your face, or the wrinkle on your forehead, or the mole which you wish it could go on the other side of your face. When you start to appreciate something that you like about what you see when you look at yourself in the mirror. Maybe you like the perfect arched eyebrows that you have. I don't know, maybe you like your cheekbones. Whatever it is, focus on that every day and appreciate it. And you will just notice how you start to transform in the most subtle ways. You don't notice that wrinkle anymore. And what you may not realize is that the wrinkle suddenly disappears. It's not there. Maybe you've outgrown it. I don't know what happened, but your presence, your devotion kind of shed light and transformed you on a cellular energetic level, which kind of reflect on you physically and what you see in that mirror. And that happens also when we are mirrored in people and situations around us. If there is someone in your life, who is not aligned with your perception of things, is not aligned with your mindsets and your concepts of who you are as a person, that's okay. Let the person be. Accept them as they are. I am sure there's something in them which you appreciate about them. There is one good thing in that person. Maybe you can recall something past in your life which you very much appreciate about that person. Look at that one good thing in that person. The same way as you would have stopped giving your focus on the acne in your face and start looking at how perfectly clear your eyes are, and you start to shed light on that and then start to transform. The same way when you start to look at that one good quality in that person, if it's your partner, if it's your child, if it's your neighbor, your coworker, if it's the government, whoever it is, if it's that actor, that person who you kind of, I don't know, browse all day on your social media, whatever it is, just look at that one good thing in that person. And every time you interact with that person, you will always see them. That person is part of your life. You will always see them. So instead of just fighting and kind of neglecting them, and you're limiting yourself and limiting your light, just shine light on that one good thing. And you will notice how that person start to confirm or bend in alignment to your new perception of them. The same way that happened with your child. Suddenly she lost all of that bad attitude. And now she's just a good child now. So these mirrors around us, when we start to give it our attention and just shift our focus, there is so much thing that we can learn from it. And the thing about intention, so your intention of starting to see the good in people and things around you, maybe you start to notice the person good ways. And that good way, that intention of starting to see the good in people will fulfill itself because you start to give it your presence, and your presence creates reality. Your presence creates reality. And this is what all of these self-help books talk about when they are referring to be here now, do it now, start now. There is only now. There is no yesterday, there is no tomorrow, there is only now. But what does it mean? If I'm here now, doesn't mean like I'm here sitting in my living room and the neighbor is playing loud music, but that's okay. I appreciate that, and I'm happy that they're next door. In that way I feel safe. That's okay. Even though the noise is kind of echoed in my recording, but that's okay. I love my neighbor. When I'm sitting here in the now, doesn't mean me being here present with you and recording this podcast and with the conviction that this can trigger something in you, trigger that buried light or truth in you for you to remember that aspect of yourself which you may need to shed light on. And when we say focus on the now, for example, I can sit here, I may not decide to not record this podcast because my neighbor is playing loud music. And, that's just gonna change my mood. I'm like, how can they do that? Can't it just lower it down? It's bright daytime, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But that's okay. I sit here and I pretend like it's nice and serene, and it's a great environment for me to record this podcast now. Regardless of what's happening outside of me, I can't control what's happening outside of me. I can control my emotions, I can control my thoughts, and I can control my belief. They don't have the power to control me. I decide here, right now, what I'm going to do. So if I start to give them my focus that, keep running them, calling them or texting them, turn off your music, turn off the music, do you think they're going to abide? Of course not. That's just going to fuel them even more. So I ignore it. I don't give it my attention or my focus. My attention and my focus and my devotion is recording this message that I want to send to you of how you can be mirrors, the most beautiful, perfect mirrors of people around you by just being present, being in the now, right here. And when you start to mirror your deep, loving, divine qualities of love and abundance and radiance and beauty, whatever it is you feel that is your signature frequency, ask yourself that. What is your signature frequency? Maybe there is some part of you that you may want, you're not in favor of, and you hope that you can change it. Ask yourself, the person who you want to be right now, what is her signature frequency? Is she somebody joyful? Is she somebody who just go with the flow? Is she somebody just bubbly and radiant and at peace with herself? And then you choose her frequency, maybe top 3, and then you start make decisions from that alignment. So when you start to mirror that new frequency, peace, love, joy, excitement, freedom, wealth, whatever it is, devotion, fulfillment, act from that place. Be the mirror of that frequency. Be the mirror to other people around you. And when you show up in your day, in your family gatherings, in your boardroom meetings, and your social gatherings at this new mirror, what happens is we are very sensitive because we are very much triggered by contrast, right? So the people around you may kind of notice the difference, subtle difference here, because they know that you were never this nice before. And they start to question, oh my God, I love her new posture. I love the way her new tone in her voice, and she seems so different. So what happens is the people around you will start to transform based on what you're evoking within them, because you are mirrors to them. And they start to transform to what they are seeing in front of them. Okay, they like that new image that they're seeing in the mirror. You are a mirror to them, right? So maybe that friend who kind of appreciates something which you starting to align with this new frequency that you're vibrating, what happens is your friend is starting to aligning herself with that new frequency that you're vibrating at, because you triggered that part of her that she forgetting about herself. It was always there, but you helped her to remember her authentic truth, who she is, her divine essence, her frequency, her flow, her radiance. And then you may think to yourself, oh, she's copying me. No, it's not copying. It's just that your presence weaves reality. People start to confirm according to what you're vibrating. And what happens also is the few persons that, started to align with who you are the ones who are very much soul aligned with you and are true to your friendship and your circle. And even though your new outlook may be received differently to the other people, and there may be some persons who are starting to kind of avoid you, and that's okay, because they no longer are aligned to this new vibrational frequency of what you're exuding. And the reason why you would have stuck with them in the past is because you weren't vibrating at your authentic self. And that's why there are certain persons who stay with you, and that's why there are other persons who when you start to elevate your life and upgrade and activate certain emotions and potentials within you, that kind of triggers certain people to kind of go away and fade into the background. Or the ones that are kind of aligned with your spirit and your aura, they themselves start to elevate. And that's how you know that you are in the rightful, soulful, aligned company and circle that you are mirroring. This is our truth, and that is something that we forgot. But it is always there. It is always there in the presence. Whatever it is that you may be going through in your life, financially, whether it's in relationship, whether it's health, whatever it is, just ask yourself. There is so much truth that kind of comes to us when we start to ask ourselves questions. You just sit in silence. You don't have to act with force or anger or rage, right? You sit in stillness. That the lioness, she sits there, with this grace and this fearness and this proudness, and things just happening in front of her. People just bring the finest meat to her. The animals are there that just bring the grandest meat to her. And she's there in her stillness and her poise. That is how true presence, that is the power of stillness, as the lotus flower. It's there, rooted in the earth, and it just blossoms, and people are just going in awe of its wonder and its beauty. And it's not doing anything. The lotus flower is just stick there in mud and water, blossoming in its elegance and its grace and beauty and the fragrance. And people are just in awe and daydreaming and taking pictures, and she's just there sitting, not doing it, effortless. That lotus flower is the perfect mirror of who we are, of who you are, your inner true nature. Do you know, when you look at a lotus flower, the center of it, it's kind of like golden, the pink lotus flower. And it's the golden flower, and the center, you start to see these what almost look like golden threads, which is kind of the stigma and the stamen and the filament and the anther. So at the center, you have this golden big something shaped like a cone, and then you have what appears like golden threads exuding from the center, not separate from the center, but is a kind of flowing through the center in oneness and wholeness. And then around the center, you have these beautiful pink blossoms kind of just rippling in beauty, in grace, and in flow. What that mirrors in us is that we are one with, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever energy, divineness, greatness that you divineness you believe in that gives you discipline in your life, whether you call it faith, whether you call it God or energy or spirit or the universe or Buddha or Shiva, whoever it is, what that lotus flower is mirroring to you is that you are not separate from your divine greatness that you trust and abide to in your daily routine. You are part of that divine sacredness. You are part of the center. You are wholesome. You are not separate, but you are one. You are an extension of that great center. And what that golden thread-like thing look in the center of the lotus flower, they are like souls. They are golden threads of the souls, soul filaments, I like to call them. So when you see those golden threads exuding from the center, it is not separate, it is still attached to the center. And it's kind of aligned with the beautiful, loving, abundant frequency of the center. Right? So what that tells us is that within you, you have a limitless potential and power that you haven't yet remembered as yet. But with the intention, devotion, and focus, and aligning your energy and mirroring the frequency of your highest self, your future self, your ideal self, when you start to mirror that frequency and live and embody that frequency, what happens is reality starts to blossom and unfold around you, everywhere, effortlessly, just like the beautiful petals of the lotus flower. All you have to do is be still and be centered in your truth, in your ideal frequency, that stillness of who you are, and remembering that you are not lacking, but you are abundance at its source. Those golden threads, they're you. They are your soul, your golden threads that is still connected to the center, which is the source. You're not separate and you're not lacking of anything. You have everything within you. This is for you to information for you to remember. And when you are navigating life with that knowingness, with that truth, your truth, stillness and silence, wholeness. Stillness and silence, may be a little bit doubtful for many of us because it doesn't sound as fearful as action, get, do, go, sweat. No. You see Shiva sitting on the mountains. This man is just chill, smoking his bang, and things just happening. Realities transforming, timelines kind of shifting. He's not doing anything. He's just sitting there meditating in stillness and silence. And this man is just rippling timelines and realities. So when you start to find your center is your truth and your desired frequency. And it is knowing that you are not lacking of anything. You are whole. And that truth and that presence and that focus and that devotion in yourself alone transforms and births reality around you, just like the blossoms, the petals of the lotus flower. And each petal is beautifully connected to your frequency, your divine frequency, through that is threaded through the center. So when you ever happen to see a live lotus flower, where I live, there is a few corners away from me, close to the river, there is the neighborhood there, and they have this pond in front of their fence, and the entire village, however the pond extends to is just like a galore of lotus flower, pink lotus flower. So beautiful. And or sometimes in the morning when I'm going in that area to get coconut water, fresh from the farm, the sweetest coconut water on the island, Hog Island, I stop, I park there, and I just stare. Many times I want to go like take a peek, cut it, but I'm scared these people come around me, but that's okay. So the next time you ever have a chance to, doesn't have to be a lotus flower, any flower, it could be a tree. When you start to put your presence, like thoughtful presence with intention and nature, any mirror, people, situations, nature, objects, like I said, intention, whatever your intention, it has its way of fulfilling itself. So whatever intention you have, when you focus on something, you start to find the answers. They may come to you in unexpected ways. They may come to you, maybe through a book, or you randomly went in the subway and station going to Manhattan and you just see what you were thinking about on the screen in the plane, or one of those billboards at the subway station, or someone sent you, suddenly a message in your WhatsApp and the answer is there. That's how these answers show up in your lives. When we start to be the mirror that we envision for ourselves, when we start to be the mirror of what we really see and for ourselves that we appreciate when we look at ourselves in the mirror, and then we project that mirror into everyone around us, right? It's a rippling effect. And and that ripple starts from your center, sitting there in your stillness and your poise and your knowingness and your truth, and you're operating from a state of abundance. That knowingness and that remembrance and that truth and that authenticity is your natural state of abundance. Abundance in this state, essence, is beyond mere wealth. It's beyond notes and currency. It is your state of being. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the container of the mindset to kind of hold that kind of level of power and frequency, you will lose it all. This is why some people win the lottery and they lose it, because they haven't kind of created that kind of container to hold that amount of power and peace, so they lose it. And this is the power of stillness and center and silence. When you start to operate in this truth, your truth and your remembrance of who you are, things start to ripple around you. It's like the lotus flower, just rooted in power, yet purity and peace, and everything rippling around it in the pond. So when we start to look at these metaphors in our life, they're not mere metaphors. They are symbols of who we are. There are mirrors, just like how our dreams us in symbols. There's so much thing around us that are symbolic of who we are, our true essence, and whatever question you may ask, whatever answer you're seeking, you will find it. The answer always come, but it's a trust and to know that when the way you receive it may not always the way you expect it. They come in symbols and they come in forms. I want to tell you the story of how I started this podcast. So a year ago, this May is a year for this podcast, and before I started it, I said the night before I started, I went to bed. I had the idea of starting it and the type of content that I would share. So this is just at the beginning of spring. It was during Pagwa Holi, or the Festival of Colors. And I said it before I go to bed. I'm lying in bed and I said, I don't know, I was just talking, but I know that someone is listening. And I said, if this creation is aligned with the essence of who I am, then let it be. Show me a sign that I am the right path by using this creation of a podcast, this art. And I let it go. I went to bed. So that was in the heart of spring. So that same year summer, I went to I went to my aunt's barbecue, and in her backyard there is a pier and there's a lake and the beach. So I'm just walking and gliding in my pretty orange frock in the heart of summer and just in awe of the lake. It's just this black water and beautiful scenery. And I just looked over on my left. Oh, I should tell you, the night before when I said about show me a sign, I stated clearly, show me a sign of a pair of blue swans that I am on the right path of starting my creative journey with this podcast. That's what I said. I made the symbol as creative as I can. I said, show me a sign of a pair of blue swans that I am on the right path of starting my creative journey with this podcast. That's during springtime. In the heart of summer, I went to my aunt's barbecue in the backyard. I walked on the pier in my pretty orange frock, my hair down, the wind is blowing and it's so hot. I looked over on my left, and I saw this pair of white swans, beautiful white swans, just approaching the pier in the water. And they swam across onto the beach, and everyone is running, going to feed them bread. So I went, and my aunt gave us this big loaf of bread, and we were feeding them. And they were so huge. These birds are huge when you see them like close up. And we fed them bread, and they kind of walked onto the beach. And oh my God, and I remembered what I said before I went to sleep that night, to show me a sign. And that was a sign. The thing is, you may ask for a sign, but are you aware of when the signs show up to you? Right? So when you ask for signs, that's what I said. They may come in the most unexpected ways. And when you ignore those signs, that's it. You're not giving it your presence, so it will not grow. It will not expand. Right? So I remembered that I asked for the signs, and I accepted that this is a sign. I said, yes, I am going ahead with this project of starting this podcast. So me being aware that, yes, I received a sign, that created more opportunities for me, because from this sign, more signs, more synchronicities start to show up in my life. If I hadn't noticed, like, oh, look, those swans, and ignore it and then realize that this is what I was asked for, I would have lost that frequency, that kind of heart of the coincidences that I was facing at that time, right? And before that barbecue in summer, it was just like 2 weeks before that barbecue, we received a wedding invitation. My cousin was getting married, and on the invitation there was a pair of blue peacocks. I'm like, okay, I asked for swans, but that's okay. I appreciate it's a pair of blue, and I trusted it, even though they came in peacocks. It's fine, they're all birds. Birds come in different shapes and colors. And then in a week after, that beach scene with the swans came. And I trusted, yes, I send gratitude for thank you for sending me these signs. And if you are doubtful of receiving such signs, that's what I'm saying. The universe, the dream realm, or the realm of omens, they speak to you in terms of symbols, metaphor, symbolic, figurative. That is why when you read ancient texts and scriptures, the language they spoke is very figurative and symbolic. Like in the story of the Ramayana, they talk about this man with 10 heads. That is figurative, that is symbolic. It doesn't mean a man with 10 heads. Have you ever in your life seen a man with 10 heads? No. The 10 heads represent your ego, lust and fear and greed and anger and all of that things. So you have to trust the language of that great energy that we're all part of. But you have to understand the language that they speak. They don't speak like me and you, like, yo, what's up? No, that's not the language of the soul. You have to understand the soul language. So when I start to trust and I understood the symbol and the meaning behind the symbol that I'm seeing, the invitations with the blue swans, the blue peacocks, and the pair of white swans at the beach, I know that wasn't just a coincidence. That is activation. That is the path that I chose for myself, communication with this podcast and everything else that come after. That was activation for me. That I say, yes, go ahead. I remember this interview with this singer from Africa. What's her name? I can't remember her name. Do you know who I'm talking about? Pretty African girl from Africa. I can't get her name. But Tyla. So she said that, she knows she wants to sing. She wants to be a singer, and she got a dream, the night before, and the dream, of course, came in symbols, and she trusted that dream, and she said, yes, that's not just a dream, that's activation. I'm going ahead of this. Today she's topping billboards. So when you try to understand and kind of demystify the languages and the symbols that are sent to you, it helps to activate the path that you're on and to give you the answers that you seek. And you have to trust that you're always divinely supported. You're supported in the most abundant, powerful ways you can ever imagine. And, the synchronicities in my life didn't stop there on the beach in the pier with feeding the swans dry bread. It continued, right after that summer, right as we were stepping into autumn and winter. I'm at the subway station. I'm at the subway station, and I'm seeing these numbers in triples, 888 at the subway station, waiting for the 8 train to go to Manhattan. And I know the significance of 8. It's abundance, it's boundless opportunities, it's alignment. And then I enter the train, and when I entered the train, I saw they have the ads on the video devices on the train, and these ads were all about communication, and everything was blue, and they stated like titles that are aligned in communications, speaking and writing and journalism and teaching. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on the right track. When I said track, and I'm on that train track. And later I just found out that, when I was waiting for the 8 train, and I seen 888 at the symbol at the subway station. So what that really means is as I'm stepping onto, waiting for the train to step into to get me from one destination, my journey, that is a message, as a synchronological message that, yes, I'm on the right path to my journey. I trust that synchronicity, and that's my life activating there at that subway station. And for me, I'm very much rooted in spiritual wisdom, and it is easy for me to trust these languages and these signs and these symbols that I receive, which I ask for. You just don't, they just don't show up to you. What you need to know is that sometimes it may not be asked for by you through spoken words, but your frequency, what you're vibrating at, your emotional signature, your energetic signature. Are you in a constant flow of joy and trust and abundance, regardless of what's happening in your life? What are you vibrating at? Your frequency, trust, flow, alignment, peace, stillness. You can be at that stage and you may always find answers coming your way. But if you're not aligned and in tuned with the vibrational frequency that matches what you're desiring, the answers that you seek, it will not come to you. So I trust. I'm always aligned with the frequency of trust and effortless flow and abundance and divine wisdom. And I understood that 888 meaning at a train station, and I said, yes, I trust the symbol, the language of the soul, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm here recording to you season 2 of my podcast, Embody. Isn't that something magical? If it's magic, whatever it is my truth, and it is your truth. And your truth is your presence. Your presence weaves reality. Your devotion, your heart-centered intention of what you bring into focus in your life, it weaves reality, however positive, however negative. And that is your truth. You can have whatever it is that you want in life once you aligned with the frequency of your heart-centered clarity, trust, remembrance, and abundance, and joy and love and effortless flow. And remember, if you ever feel doubt and fear coming into your field, just remember the mirrors around you of what represents your highest, most powerful, vibrant self. The lotus flower, nature, that favorite person in your life, a baby, the calmness of the water. They are your mirrors. And when you shift your presence and your focus on that symbol, on that mirror that you choose, whatever it's the lotus flower, whatever it's the lioness, what happens is you're starting to kind of bring into your awareness the essence of who you are. You're starting to draw that frequency and aligning with your truth. All of the elements that are embedded in the lotus flower frequency, you're starting to attract and align and draw towards yourself. And you may start to see transformation. And even if it's a flower, whatever symbol, if it's a mantra, if it's an affirmation, music, if it's art, if it's dance, those are all like symbols and nutrients to your soul. The soul loves music and art and beauty. So you can chant your mantra, chant your affirmation. I am abundant, I am creative, I am free, I am divinely supported. I do not chase, I attract. I do not seek abundance because I remember I am the source. When you start to affirm these things to yourself, affirm your truth, these affirmations aren't mere words. These are powerful vibrations that are aligning to your innate frequency, which start to kind of activate. You're activating your inner frequency. That's what you want to do. There's so much power in words. When you speak something, it vibrates and it echoes and ripples. You know when you take a pebble of stone and you pelt it on the water, And then you see these ripples around it. That's vibration. And when fear step in, remember your center, your heart center. You are the flower. You are the mantra. You are the positive affirmation. When you start to remember who you are, you activate your vibrational essence, your emotional signature, your energetic awareness, your presence, your focus, your devotion. And you start to be in tune with it. And that knowingness, that truth, it kind of fades that fear and a doubt into the background. Just like when we talk about the zebra plant, I started focus on the beauty and the aliveness of the new shoots, and that kind of activated its beauty even more and its growth, and started to bloom, and the dried leaves around it started to fade, and I didn't notice anymore. And now what happens when you start to trust your power, your truth, and remember who you are. You are peace, you are beauty, you are radiance, you are abundant. You are the source of abundance. You do not seek from lack. You express from fullness. Your words are sacred seeds. Your vision is truth remembered. Whatever you envision for yourself, it is yours. You dreamt it, it came to you. It's not mere imagination. It is aligned with your frequency and it's yours. Trust it and give it your presence, and you will see it start to transform into your reality. I love you.